It is a duty to all citizens. Please ensure you acquire yours. Good evening, you listen to Freedom Global News on 99.5 FM. I am Hauwa Adamu Kiyawa. Today is the 4th of January 2022, which is equivalent to the 1st of Jumada Thani, 1443 after Hijri. And now the news in full. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the federal government is yet to officially designate bandits as terrorists because the federal government is following international best practices. He said his office was in the process of gazetting a court judgment that ordered the government to declare bandits as terrorists, adding that the process would be concluded in a matter of days. Malami stated this today as a guest on NTA Good Morning Nigeria show. It can be recalled that Justice Hauwa Adamu of the Federal High Court in Abuja on November 26, 2021, had granted an ex parte application by the federal government for Mbindiga and Nta'adda to be declared as terrorists, but the federal government has not done so over a month after. Whereas in the case of the indigenous people of Biafra, Malami was able to gazette the designation of IPOB as terrorists on the same day that Justice Abdul Kafarati gave the order on September 20th, 2017. Speaking today, electronically or physically at the various stations of the corporation to avoid embarrassment. The federal government had declared free train rides for Nigerians from December 24th to January 4th to facilitate easy movement for the Yuletide. However, travelers had accused the Abuja railway operators of defying the federal government's directive on free train rides. They alleged that operators at the Idu train terminal reportedly sold tickets to passengers aboard the Abuja-Kaduna train at the rate of 12,000 naira on Christmas Day and 8,000 naira a day before. On the sporting arena, the president of the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, Amaju Melvin Pinnick, said the newly appointed coach of the senior national team of Nigeria, Jose Peseiro, told him why Super Eagles didn't get to the final of the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Correspondent Mamasan Uba has details of this and other sports updates.
Jose Peseiro will formally take over as coach of the senior national team of Nigeria. But according to Amaju Melvin Pinnick, he has already started working behind the scenes on how to get off to a flying start with the Super Eagles. Pinnick said Peseiro even believed that basic errors cost Super Eagles the chances of playing in the 2018 World Cup final, which Croatia, the team they played in the group game, lost to France. Meanwhile, Leicester City duo Kelechi Iheanacho and Wilfried Ndidi, William Troost Ekong, Kenneth Omeru, Alex Iwobi are among 9 players who have arrived the Super Eagles Abuja camp for the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. Also currently in the camp are the quartet of Ola Aina, Frank Onyeka, Sani Ajayi, and Kelechi Nwakali. The current arrivals means 23 players are now in camp ahead of the Continental Showpiece in Cameroon. In another update, Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel says Romelu Lukaku has apologized and will return to the club squad for tomorrow's Carabao Cup semi-final first leg against Tottenham. Lukaku was dropped for Sunday's Premier League draw with Liverpool after comment he made in an interview recorded 3 weeks ago. In lawn tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic will defend his Australian Open title later this month after receiving a medical exemption from having a COVID-19 vaccination. All players and staff at the tournament must be vaccinated. All players and staff at the tournament must be vaccinated or have an exemption granted by an expert independent panel. Djokovic, a 9-time Australian Open winner, has not spoken publicly about his vaccination status. In another development, Andy Murray suffered a losing start to 2022 as he was beaten by Facundo Bagnis in the first round of the Melbourne Summer Series. The 34-year-old produced an error-strewn display as he lost 6-3, 5-7, 6-3 to the Argentine. Similarly, Japan's Naomi Osaka made a winning comeback after 4 months out with victory in the first round of the Melbourne Summer Set event. The reigning Australian Open champion, aged 24, took an indefinite break from tennis after a third-round defeat at September's US Open. She was far from her best on her return, but still did enough to beat Frances Alize Cornet 6-4, 3-6, 6-3. Muhammad Sanuba, Freedom Radio.
The global news is coming to you from Freedom Radio 99.5 FM. You can send your comments, opinions, and watch us live on Freedom Radio Nigeria and Facebook.com. You can get the link to the page on our website, www.freedomradionig.com.
Musa, me kake nema a cikin kitchen?
Masoyiyata, ina son cokali in sha magani.
Masoyina, ka ɗauki comics kawai, ka yaga, sha ka samu sauki.
Haka ne fa, ku yi amfani da comics ma duk kaikayin tari. Comics yana da dextromethorphan da guaifenesin. Kawai ku yaga ku sha, ku samu sauki yana kulele in ka sha. Aha, na samu sauki yanzu. Ina son comics. Comics, kamfani Orange Drugs Limited da ke yin kasuwanci da dilancinta. Maganin zai iya saka kasala. In alamar tarin bata tsaya ba bayan kwana 3, ka ga likitanka. Comics yana kulele.
Welcome back. You still listen to Freedom Global News on 99.5 FM. The Nigerian Air Force today announced major redeployment of its senior officers across different theatres of operations, branches, and headquarters. The redeployment is coming a few days after the retirement of some senior officers and the latest declaration of the newly promoted officers among air troops. Air Commodore Esan Efanga is now the commander, Air Task 4 Operation Haddon Kai, while Group Captain Dogai Akbe Yeyak is now the Air Component Commander, Operation Thunder Strike. A former Director of Public Relations and Information of the Force, Air Vice Marshal Ibukunle Daramola is now the Air Officer Commanding GTC Enugu. In a statement by the NAF spokesman, Edward Gabquet, he explained that the postings and redeployments in the military are routine exercises intended to reinvigorate the services for greater performance, enhanced productivity, operational efficiency, and effective service delivery. Gabquet noted that the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, charged the newly redeployed senior officers to continually task and explore their critical thinking mindsets towards preferring workable solutions and strategies to be deployed against the various security challenges in the country. For the tomorrow's weather forecast in some cities in Nigeria and parts of Niger Republic, here is the report.
Kana Kano tomorrow morning is expected to have sunny and light wind at an average temperature of 14 degrees Celsius and later rise to 26 degrees Celsius with gentle breeze. Katsina will experience partly cloud and light wind at 19 degrees Celsius and later increase to 22 degrees Celsius with gentle breeze. Kaduna will have partly cloudy and light wind at 21 degrees Celsius, then rise to 26 degrees Celsius with light wind. Abuja will experience sunny intervals and light winds at 25 degrees Celsius and later change to 29 degrees Celsius with moderate breeze. Lagos will have clear sky and light wind at 26 degrees Celsius and subsequently increases to 29 degrees Celsius with light wind. Maradi in Niger Republic will experience clear sky and gentle breeze at 21 degrees Celsius and later rise to 23 degrees Celsius with gentle breeze. Zindar will have similar weather condition at 20 degrees Celsius, then rise to 22 degrees Celsius with light wind. Fatma Yahya Isa, Freedom Radio.
And on business, Muhammad Abdullahi has updates.
The ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government, especially financial services regulators, are to invest 1.54 trillion naira in 5 years to boost liquidity in the financial services sector, according to the federal government National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. The government is planning to raise the liquidity thresholds in each segment of the financial system to the levels that will support the growth and development of the country. The investment is also expected to strategically optimize all components of the nations to unlock the liquidity required to support the stability, growth, and transformation of the economy. Meanwhile, a member of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Adamu Kiyawa, the federal government should continue to focus on the country's economic growth as it remains fragile. Kiyawa said this in a statement at the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting, pointing out that the various sectors of the economics were still struggling despite the position growth in gross domestic product in the third quarter of 2021. He added that the economy needed to expand at a higher rate than the growth recorded in the third quarter of 2021 to generate more jobs for economic expansion. Muhammad Abdullahi, Freedom Radio.
And on the foreign scene, Sudanese security forces fired tear gas at anti-coup protesters in Khartoum, chanting slogans against the military days after the resignation of the country's civilian prime minister. Protesters today shouted no to military rule and called for the disbandment of Sudan's ruling council, headed by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who led an October 25 coup that derailed a transition to civilian rule. Thousands of protesters gathered across Sudan, including in Khartoum in its twin city of Durman, as well as the eastern city of Port Sudan and South Darfur, capital of Nyala. The AFP news agency reported that demonstrators in East Khartoum burned car tires and built rock barricades on the streets. In southern Khartoum and in Bahri, thousands of protesters gathered and tried to march towards the presidential palace, but they were met with tear gas. Earlier today, Sudanese security forces beefed up security in and around Khartoum as protesters called for mass rallies in a bid to keep up pressure on the military following the resignation of civilian Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok. And with this, we've come to the end of today's Global News. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Hauwa Adamu Kiyawa. Have a wonderful evening.